Hey guys, I'm going to commentate over some footage of a practice round for Hub City Halloween Open 2022 at Holston Creek, or our 18-hole Holston Creek layout. So normally this is a 27-hole course. We're skipping a few in the middle, and then the first 6 holes of the course we're safarying as 3 holes. So hole 1, we're playing a hole 1 tee to hole 2 basket, and it's a par 4. Up until about 5 minutes ago, I thought this was a par 5, and I was like, "Oh, that's a reasonable par 5, like it's pretty gettable." And now thinking about this as a par 4, it's tough. Holy smokes, I think it's a pretty tough par 4. I think if it was a par 5, it would be a relatively easy par 5, but this is certainly a tough par 4. So I think in terms of the drive, I think, for me, it's still the over-the-top shot. I've played the course once before, and I've seen coverage from previous years' Hub City Halloween Open, thanks to Ace Round Production. And I think the shot plays fairly similar. I'm going to try to end up a bit more to the right than I would if I was playing, I think, to the hole 1 basket. So this one I'm about to throw, this is a passion. So it's going to flip a little bit, but I'm just trying to throw it kind of up here and have on some hyzer and have it kind of stall out to the left once it gets to the tree line in the back. I throw it a little too flat, that thing turns over and just rides into the tree line. So a bit more hyzer or something a bit more stable to have it, track back left, and I'm happy with that. Clay's going to give an example of the right gap with something stable. I'm not sure what it is, if it's a Raptor or a Force, but he throws a couple down that right gap, and they both end up great. And to me, the high shot works. Like even this, I throw that way too high, and that doesn't even get back to the tree line on the left because it opens up a bit. So I think that's my shot, just a bit lower. But I'm just trying to take something overstable, kind of like that was a destroyer, maybe like a nuke. Maybe in something just like a Raptor. I didn't even hate that passion. I just threw it too flat. But just something over these trees and have it kind of get to the tree line in the back and track left out here into this clearing. So that's a nuke. That ends up right by hole 1 basket. And I would try to throw that a bit more turned over or flexed to the right. And I think it would be relatively ideal for what I'm trying to do. So this is walking past. I'm about to record while walking past the tree out this right gap, so you can kind of see what the hole looks like in this layout. Okay, so rounding the corner here. So in terms of where hole 1 basket normally is, I haven't played here enough to know if that's where it's always been. I kind of thought it was more to the right. Anyway, so once you get out here in the clearing, this tree line will extend the whole way down, and a little bit of a cleared out fairway here to get onto hole 2. So basically kind of play to where hole 1's basket has been, but a bit to the right, and now you have a shot from back here to try to play hole 2. I guess that's hole 2 tee right there. So if you can get to there, then you just got to play hole 2. But the passion was in the trees over here, and I pitched it out with a bit of forward progress. So, the best drive I could possibly throw would be here. And now you still got to play hole 2, but with an extra 80, 100 feet, whatever it is. So, definitely a bit of a doozy of a par 4 to start out with. Mentally, to me, I'm thinking par 5. If I'm not gonna it, I don't normally like saying, I'm not gonna birdie a hole. It's just not it's not cards that I have in my hand to play with. I think this is one that I'm fine saying I will not birdie this hole, and I'm going to play it for a 4, and a 4 is gonna feel like a birdie to me. I'd be interested to see, or I am interested to see what it'll average for different divisions. I'll be playing MA1, so I'm not sure if the layout that the A pool we'll be playing is different from what we're playing for the B-Pool. But this is just kind of a preview of what we got. So just, basically the safari from hole 1 to hole 2. And, yeah, if you birdie it, I mean, that's awesome. I would love to see someone birdie this hole. That'd be great. I imagine it has a lot to do with the tee shot. To basically get as close to 2T as you can off the tee. I imagine maybe if someone does that, I could imagine them peering the inside gap off the tee with something stable. I'm gonna just for this thought real quick, because to get to like 2T from here, right? 2T is up here. The over the top shot, I feel like will get up here and stall out and doesn't really push far enough to get to 2T. The shot and the wide shot also I don't think tracks that far. If you throw, I don't throw overhands. Maybe an overhand's the best shot here. Like if you have a huge tomahawk or something. I don't know if that works out great. But what I'm imagining, if you actually want to play this hole for birdie, is throwing this gap with a stable disc, and trying to get maybe a little bit of a hyzer flip to have it get through here and be tracking left, pushing a little straight, and getting as far up to close to 2T as you can. So I think this hole as a par 4 could have this tree removed right here and be a pretty reasonable par 4. To me right now, it's like, if you want to birdie this hole, I think you have to hit this gap, or you have to throw some kind of insanely good second shot. Because again, for me, throwing this right gap or throwing over the top, I had the nuke I threw ended up by this basket. So if I flex it out a bit more and get it to land here instead, my best case tee shot is still about right here. And this is hard. Because I throw a crave here, so you could disc up a bit more than that. But anyway, so that's kind of my thoughts on this tee shot. I'm going to mostly just try to play something over the top, safe to around here, and then take 2 shots to get to the pin and tap in my par. I think if you're going to try to birdie it, I think this gap is the play. But I'm not a local, and I would love to see how other folks play the hole, and I'm excited to get out there and see what folks do on the hole. Okay, I'm going to try to skip ahead now. Okay, I think this is about where we were earlier. I'll skip ahead a little bit, because from here, I mean, we're just playing our upshots on here and tapping in. Okay, so now what we're doing, we're at hole 3, and we're going to safari to hole 4 basket. So I think this tee shot plays a lot. Like, I don't think you're throwing this tee shot any different than you would if you were just playing hole 3. I think you're throwing your driver over here and have it, just get through the gap and fade a bit. I think for the second shot, maybe your landing zone depends a bit on what you want to throw for your second shot. Because so much of this is on an uphill, I almost really like being able to throw a forehand on the second shot. And I think being on the right side of the fairway lends itself to a forehand, because you have room to take an angle and let the disc fade more straight up the hole. Whereas if you were over here on the left, you'd be having to throw a flex to kind of get it to push straight up here. And once you get to the top of the hill by 3 basket, this wood line kind of creeps in a bit and it kind of narrows up. That was a really good drive. I'd take John or Clay's drive anytime. Like if I came to this tee box and you said, "You want that drive?" I'd say, "Yep," and I'd be happy with it. So I let it out a little early, catch a branch or something here and fall down. In a minute here, we'll be looking up the hill from the bottom, and we can discuss, or I can try to discuss a little more about what the rest of the hole looks like. Because from here, I don't think much changes on the hole. I think you more or less throw the same tee shot you would if you were just playing hole 3. I did throw one good one. Okay, so I hit a tree and fell down. This is like more or less by the short the short tee. So basket's in its normal spot up here for hole 3, but we're playing the hole 4 pin. So you want to get, if this tree, so this wood line on the right kind of starts creeping in. So you more or less are going to want to end up behind this tree or a bit to the left, I think, if I recall correctly. But ideally, in 2 shots, you definitely got to get past this tree. And if you want to birdie it, you got to get a good little ways past this tree. I believe it's about to take me excuse me. It's about to take me 3 shots to get past that. 3 shots from here to get past that tree. If I end up here again, I'm gonna throw a forehand. Dude, this hole might play as over a 6. This hole might average over 6. Speaking for MA1, it might average over 6. Just because it's hard enough to 5 it, I think. This is all right. Here, this is from a good drive. Okay, so clay through a good drive. Okay, so there's a regular 3 basket. As you can see, this wood line up here starts creeping in from the right side. So you want to end up kind of past. If you could be deep of 1 basket, any amount of distance, but more or less on that upper left side of the fairway, I think this is about the width of your landing zone, right? Is kind of like from this left tree line to where this tree is. I think you don't want to be more right than this tree because this side starts creeping in. And we can confirm that once we get up there for some subsequent camera positions than from this one. So if I was here, I'd probably just be trying to take a meteor or something relatively understable, being a backhand player, and trying to put it up here on a turnover. Oh yeah, that's about ideal out of clay there, I think. Yeah, so this is my second shot, hit this tree and knocked down here. So I want to throw something kind of, I don't know what I try to do here, but I think I'm trying to throw something up here that fades left into this center cut of the fairway. But I throw it too low. This whole thing's uphill, so that run-up's a little tough. Okay, so let me not skip around because since really none of us, unless you've played a practice round, have seen this hole like this. I'll try to leave in as much footage as possible, so that way, I mean, not that. I'm not going to make you watch me throw it into the ground again, but I'll try to leave in as much footage as possible of these first 3 holes, so that way folks can hopefully get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so past here, still probably not super useful footage yet. So this is going to creep in, and then from right about this distance, kind of past the pin, you're basically playing hole 4. So you know how like hole 4 is relatively tight, maybe, I don't know how wide it is. Is it 20 feet wide? I'm not sure. Depends on if you measure from the edge of the fairway or when the trees come in that are, from between 8 feet off the ground and 15 feet off the ground, there's a bunch of tree limbs that kind of reach into the airspace of the fairway. And I would say right up here, kind of past the basket, it already starts narrowing into that. And we're, still going to be 300 something feet out. So from here, I just throw a zone hyzer just right into the middle up there. Because I think there was also a headwind on this hole, so I'm still way too far out to consider trying to go over the top or anything. So this is a good probably perspective. So Isaac threw, I don't know, that looked like a putter or mid, but on a turnover down there, it looked like a really good shot. So just for reference, he threw that from right by hole 3 basket. And Clay must be up here somewhere after his second shot. Okay, so this is just past the basket. You can see 4T up here. So this is the kind of landing zone you have up after the basket. I'm going to rewind real quick so we can get that perspective one more time. So from down here, this would be kind of like, I think, where an ideal drive lands. Okay, so ideally, if I threw an ideal drive, I'd be about here. And I can see the basket. Now let's go up the hill. And this is what it looks like behind the basket. So, that being said, you don't want to be, I think, any more right than this tree. So, when throwing up the hole from down here on the fairway, I would say try not to have your disc finish right of this tree. It either needs to, I think, be a turnover up here or forehand or something that hyzers back around left of it. Excuse me. You do have some space behind it before it kind of completely cuts in, though. Cool. And that little zone hyzer I threw just to here, and even this is too far back. You can see the basket up there. I imagine, you could get to it from here, but this is just, it's tight. Maybe you just go for it anyway, because if you hit some of this, you're falling down and you're 200 feet out, and you can scramble. I say that, but I just throw kind of a mid-range just down the middle, and I plan to get up and down from there. So, but this is kind of, if you get here in 2, then you can talk about, you can have a conversation about playing the hole for birdie, but it seems kind of hard. It seems kind of hard, just because on that second shot, right? This is from a great drive. This is for me, what would be a good drive. What am I trying to throw up there? I'm trying to throw a crave up here, and I doubt if I threw that perfectly, I would get much more ahead of where this zone ended up. And I think you could try to birdie it from here, but that would require like 3, really well thrown shots. So I think that this is a hole that a 5 will play well on relative to the average score of the field. So I think Isaac is here in 3 by this box. Did I skip Clay's throw? So Clay must have gotten his second one by the basket, and then he ended up here after 3. So that's pretty good, I think, after 3 shots. So Isaac had thrown that kind of turnover putter mid from back by hole 3 basket. This is great. I don't know what he threw, but this was a great shot. And from here, you're just playing hole 4. So the rest of this, if you've seen hole 4 before, nothing new. And if you've seen disc golf at all before, it's more or less nothing new. We're just finishing out hole 4 here. For the tournament, only hole 2. But in the regular layout, this is hole 4. So just while we finish out the hole, just to do a little reflection. I feel like I've probably said enough, but definitely going to be 2 tough starting holes. I think last year, if I go look at scores for MA1, I think the best score on the 27-hole layout for MA1 last year was even, and that was like maybe 1,000 rated. So I don't know what conditions were like last year, but but I think it. I mean, just after these holes, like these seem harder. Hole 1 is that par 4. Seems harder than hole 1 or hole 2 were. This hole is par 5. I think seem harder than hole 3 or hole 4 were. So I think we're already talking a couple strokes harder after the first 4 holes, from the previous year's layout. And I think also we're skipping some holes in the middle. I think like holes 13 to 18 maybe. And I'm not sure how those normally play, but I think those are maybe some holes you could pick up some birdies on. Depending upon, well, last time I was here though, I don't think I was playing longs. I think we played some of the shorter tees. So nice. I'm gonna try to skip us ahead a little bit just to get to the next hole because I know people are interested, I'm putting this up so that people can get some footage of this layout since it's I don't think visible otherwise on the internet yet. I don't know if my knee already looks torn up or like it's got a spot on it, but dude, the rough out here is thorny, man. If it's cool enough, I definitely recommend wearing the long pants. I feel like I walked through a field of sandpaper because my legs are just kind of roughed up after this round. So I didn't get the memo. Everyone else knew to wear long pants, but that's recommended. Okay, so this will be hole 3 on this layout. We're playing hole 5, so I think from hole 5T, and I think hole 5 would normally go down here, and then you'd play hole 6 back up this hill. They've cut out a new fairway, and we're playing hole 5T to hole 6 basket. It's a par 3, and hole 6 basket has moved down the hill just a little bit. So you're trying to go through this gap and up this fairway, and it's more or less just right up here. The problem is it's almost level with like the ceiling, right? So if you throw a shot dead through the middle of this gap, you're going to go in the dirt 80 feet short of the pin, 100 feet short of the pin. So you really have to use the ceiling and push straight. It doesn't fade off very much. It kind of goes straight. I mean, it tails a little bit left, so you really kind of need to throw something neutral-ish, a hyzer that flips up a bit and pushes straight. And I think you kind of need to test the ceiling if you're trying to get one up on the green. This is another hole that I don't think this will play over par. Will anyone birdie hole 1 in MA? I'm gonna ask these questions to myself right now. Is anyone gonna birdie hole 1 in MA1? No. I would bet you $20. I would maybe bet you $100, unless I'm just like some guy that's not a local and doesn't know the lines. I would maybe bet you $100 hole 1 doesn't get birdied in MA1. I would even maybe more likely bet you hole 2 doesn't get birdied in MA1. And this hole I can see being birdied. I still don't think it's likely. I throw a pretty good shot. I throw it at the ceiling on the hyzer flip I want, hit these branches and fall down to right here. So just for reference from the tee, when we get to viewing my upshot where you can see the basket, I threw into that dirt right there. And I'm actually going to go ahead. We don't end up throwing any good drives, so I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead. So I threw from the tee to the dirt there. Okay, this is where it ended up. So basket is roughly 100 feet away, maybe. So 100 feet out, maybe a little more, 120 feet. So back to the tee real quick. So from right here, the basket is 120 feet up that way. And this hill goes up a bit. So you need it to get through here and push straight while using more or less as much height as you can get out of this gap. I think that would have been pretty good if I had it maybe a touch more hyzer, a touch more inside to get inside of that. And I'm not sure there's a whole lot else to say on this one. I think Clay walks over and means to hit record, but I think he stops it before I throw this. At least I hope he does, because I shank it and I hit this tree. I gotta work on these little Berg forehands. I'm throwing them. I'm not getting them out. I'm getting them out on like hyzer and kind of weak instead of flat. Yeah, I gotta work on that. Yeah, so I think hole 6 pin is normally up here, so it's just down the hill from that a bit. But anyway, but yeah, so that's the new, or maybe not new, but that's hole 1, 2, and 3 for this 18-hole layout. Hope this was useful. I'm going to go ahead and also watch and commentate over the rest of the practice round recording that I have. So if you want to stick around and check that out, I'm going to be here doing that. But cool, man. If you're doing Hub City Halloween Open, I wish you the best of luck and wish us all some good weather and a good time. So, okay, now we're on to, I guess this is normal hole 7, and for us it'll be hole 4. But for me, I think these guys are trying to throw, Clay, it looks like, is going to try to throw a forehand down here. So if you don't know this hole, it's going to go down this gap and it's going to snake to the right a little bit and relatively straight. It's not like a fade, or it's not a strong fade. It's kind of just a straight diagonal right down to a little gap that lets you into the green. You could probably get pretty close to the green off the tee if you threw like a backhand turnover with a driver that glided down there, but I think that's pretty difficult. I want to say you can find Ricky on the Ace Run production coverage thrown over the top here and crashing into the green. I'm just throwing an NB. I've had this one starting to get beat in a bit, so I'm gonna throw this NB at this tree and just try to turn it and have it just land right down here in the opening of the gap for the fairway. Yeah, just like that. I don't think we throw any other good drives. So this is the opening of the fairway, kind of where my drive ended up. You're going to go down here to the right, and then there's the gap to the pin behind those trees there. Just kind of throw that one in the dirt. Was on the right line. I was bringing it over to the right. Just got to give it the right height. And then I throw a pretty bad little flick here. Luckily, I end up with a lucky-ish bounce, and I don't think I record the putt, but I got to get that forehand better. These little forehand approaches, that's like 3 of them I've messed up, and we're through like 4 holes, so gonna have to do some work on that before the tournament. So this is normally hole 8. I'm gonna start calling them by whatever the normal hole number is. Let me see. On the tee sheet, they do have the old hole numbers next to the current hole. So this is hole 5, old hole 8. And this hole, it just feels so nice to get this hole after what they put you through in the first 4 holes. Like the last hole, I think is gettable. And then you're just like, this is just such a relief. I don't want to call it a must get because, I mean, in honesty, this is a must get birdie. But to me, I will succeed on this hole if I just use it as kind of a mental reprieve to relax for just, you know, however long we're on, for the 10 minutes we're on the hole. You know, just let go and smile and enjoy playing disc golf, and that way I can still going to try to focus up and throw a good shot, but I do want to give myself a little reprieve from the difficulty of the rest of the course. So we'll try to enjoy this hole while I'm on it and not stress out over it too much one way or the other. My plan is just to throw an NV right at it. I think Clay and Isaac threw forehands, which were pretty good. I'm not sure if it's OB long and to the right of this hole. Let me check. It does not say on that. Yeah, I made a putt. We're going to skip us ahead to old hole 9, the mailbox hole. So this one's tough. I don't know how to play the hole safe even, right? Like if you want to try to lay up a putter short of these trees in the middle, I guess you could do that, but it's pretty hard to get something there, especially I can't really you can't really tell if the wind is up there. So I'm trying to throw a scorch, like a understable distance driver up here. I kind of yank it and I throw it into this tree. And from there, it's just super difficult. I'm not sure if any of us throw a great drive. It seems pretty hard to throw a good drive on this hole. But yeah, I end up like in this tree. I think ideally, yeah, I think you could lay up right here. Let's see. I'm gonna aim that understable driver kind of at right here and hope it turns over through the gap. I don't know if I even have the distance for the birdie anyway, though, so I am considering the layup play at this point in time. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna throw a drive. I'm gonna get out there and throw a driver, dude. I'm not gonna lay up. Long term, I had that weird layout patent pending, and I threw it out here in the field of thorns. Everything out in this course off the fairway seems pretty thorny, so again, the long pants are recommended. Yeah, I don't know if I have much else to say on the hole. I don't have a lot of recommendations for you off the tee box other than throw a 420 foot. It's like 360, but I mean it probably plays like 450 or something. I'm not exactly certain. Maybe less than that. Maybe 420, 430. But yeah, seems like it's got to be a pretty big drive to get up here, I imagine. I'm going to skip us ahead to the next. Okay, so this must be old hole 10. Yeah, I guess this is old hole 10. I'm going to call it hole 10. So I think most of these guys are going to try to throw a forehand. That's pretty good. That's too stable. Ends up in the trees on the right. I like the idea of just throwing a mid-range or something straight down the fairway for this one. Just because with the driver, something overstable, as the ground's going to go away from the disc, so it's just going to have more time to fade out as it gets separation from the ground, or as that ground slopes downward and away from it. Isaac with the forehand, a bit lower, maybe that's good. I pull out this is a Undertaker. It's one of the Tour Series Undertakers from this year. And that was wicked. That was maybe my best shot of the day. Oh, I wish I had recorded. Oh, never mind. I think John had to pitch out to here. So a basket's right down here. It's a hanging basket. This is where my drive ended up. It was turning over and then must have stabled up, ended up here. So I'm just going to try to flick a forehand around these trees down to the basket with a putter. Oh, okay. So that wasn't that bad. I was like eating a Cliff Bar, so I don't... I never remember that shot too much. But yeah, man. So in terms of this hole, what could I say that might be helpful? Smile, relax, and have a good time. No, I think throwing a driver. It's like weird because I don't want to like watch people throw a driver. They'd be like, oh, you probably shouldn't throw a driver because like you might show up and you might throw a driver really good, you know. Speaking for me, in my bag, in my experience, I'm going to go for something straight. Like this Undertaker, it turns over and it finishes relatively straight. If I wasn't throwing this, I'd probably just be throwing a mid-range, trying to get it under the ceiling. And I think it's mostly because I don't think you need that much distance off this tee. Like, I don't think you need to go driver. Like, this Undertaker gets me in standstill forehand putter range, right? You can, and it's even at that, it kind of went too far. Like if it had landed 50 feet shorter, I have a much more straight line approach shot, and I'm still throwing a putter. So I don't think you need to go driver off this tee. Like a fairway driver to me at most, because you're taking out the left and right by doing so. So I like the idea of throwing a mid-range. I like the idea of throwing a fairway driver if it's a little understable, or even neutral since you're throwing downhill. But that's just, if I were to try to make up something useful to say about the hole, I would say it's on that tee shot. You don't have to go big. You can get something, a mid-range to 100 feet short of here, relatively easily, and then you've still got, it's a downhill shot to the green, so you can still just be throwing a putter or putter mid-range. So you can go mid-range on this hole for the birdie, and I think that minimizes your risk off the tee. But yeah, so that's my thought on that hole, or excuse me, my thoughts on that hole. All right, old hole 11. This one's a little weird. I think one of us only birdies this hole. It's right down here on the left. It's just going to kind of bend a little bit, and the basket's going to be right there. If you are coming out for the tournament and you've never played this hole before, you've never seen it in person, just walk up to right here and see where the basket is. It's worth the time it takes to do it. It is a little weird though, because you want to go left with it, but this, the trees kind of stick out or block you from this, going to inside. So you have to throw something that is relatively stable or on some hyzer, but you don't want to go too overstable because it more or less finishes straight. So it is a little bit of a relatively technical shot. I like the idea Isaac had of that kind of turnover forehand. I don't quite have that confidence or, that kind of touch on that forehand, so I go for the backhand. That disc is just a little too understable now, so it pushes straight. We were messing around with the camera a little bit, or my phone anyway. I like that idea. I think he threw something overstable and low. I think that's a really good idea. So I stable up just a little bit from my original shot with this one. And I felt like that was great. And it just ends up down the hill on the right. So I'm not sure if it got ground play. I'm assuming it got some ground play. Maybe, I don't know if it was a roll or what, and ended up down the hill on the right. But I kind of like Clay's play of something relatively overstable and kind of low, to try to maybe push up right here on this fairway and kind of skip up over this way. Because we both, I think he hit early and skipped, and I hit a tree on the right, and we ended up here. So that's Clay ended up up there on the left. He just made his putt. So if you want to look at a drive that's good to throw on the hole, I would try to mimic Clay's shot. If you want to throw a backhand, Isaac might have just birdied with that forehand. I'm not sure. On old hole 12. This is we're definitely in some birdie holes right now, because this one's just a Justice or a Firebird or a Malta or whatever. Something overstable. Just throw it out this gap and it'll go left to the pin. I mean, there's not a lot I know to say about it other than throw something overstable through this gap. Like, as long as you do that and you don't throw it too far, you're pretty good, right? Like, don't throw a nuke. You know, don't throw something that's going to go 320 feet. Throw a Firebird. I have an Eclipse, one of the Halloween Eclipse resistor. I wish I would have thought to throw it, because I think it's going to be perfect for the perfect amount of distance and stability for this hole. I've got this PD. It's very overstable for me. Like, it might be getting a little straighter now, but this is like a disc I kind of use as a Firebird. And I didn't feel like I threw it that hard. I think that's more or less in the circle, just a little deep. I also try throwing a Justice, and the Justice ends up in the circle. So, just speaking for righty backhand, just throw something overstable out the gap. There's if you walk right here, you can see a tree. If you were to stand like right here, you can see a tree, and it's close to the edge of the circle relative to the pin. So it's pretty easy if you just think about, okay, I just got to try to hit this tree. If you were to just try to hit the tree right here, throw something through the gap that tries to hit that tree, it'll be pretty good. Unless you actually hit the tree, and in that case, that would be unfortunate. That would be unfortunate. Don't actually hit the tree. But, I mean, if you try to hit the tree and you hit the tree, at least you still got a putt and you threw a good shot. So, we're always just looking to take some positives away from stuff. Yeah, so that's where that PD ended up, just a little deep. Splash. Old hole. So now we skip ahead to old hole 19. Old long Johnson. Old hole 19. Sorry, that has like the same amount of syllables or something. Okay, so you're gonna throw a putter at this. I think you can throw a mid, but I think you just throw a putter a mid right at this basket. I could skip ahead. I think I've said all I know to say about the hole. Well, I mean, maybe you go big forehand highs or something. I don't know. Just throw a putter at the basket. I don't know what else to say about this hole. It's just too right there. I mean, I say that it's not like I birdied the hole. Like, I'm not saying it's easy, but I don't know what else to say other than to throw a putter a mid right here. That one's a little too low, but I'd take it. It's still not bad. I know I end up throwing a good one. I want to show you my good one. We'll watch Isaac throw. Show us a good one, Isaac. Hell yeah, brother. No, that tailed off to the left. Let's stand up. A little too stable, I think. This is Neutron in me. There it is. Boom. Just do that. Oh, no. Okay, so my first shot, excuse me, hit this branch. I don't know really how to throw a grenade yet, but I like trying it. But I like trying it because I figured if I try it every now and then, like maybe over time I'll learn how to do it. Same thing with kind of like rollers and that sort of thing and thumbers. Like I was thinking, as long as you throw one every now and then, like in your practice, I think the knowledge you gain each time you do it is pretty valuable. Because like you throw a few rollers and get an idea for how the disc reacts on the ground depending upon its stability and angle, and all of a sudden like you've got another tool in your bag. Same thing with thumbers and tomahawks. Like I'm not saying you got to go out and learn how to throw a 300-foot tomahawk, but during your practice rounds, if you chuck in a thumber and a tomahawk here and there, you got another tool in your bag to use, sometimes when you might need it. So I kind of have a bit of a roller game, and I have a little bit of an overhand game at this point. So now I'm the one thing I've been trying to throw every now and then is a grenade. So the one I'm trying like the overlap pointer finger and thumb grip for it, but definitely still needs some work. All right, hole 20. This bad boy, I think, goes up the hill and is. I think you can just see the basket, like when you're on this tee pad. I think it's just right up here on the left, maybe by this tree. It's like 290 or 280 on paper, and I think it probably plays 340, 350, just because it's uphill. I'm going to throw the Undertaker again. Oh, no. I apologize if... I don't apologize, but I might be grandstanding. I don't know what grandstanding means. I got to look that up. Hold on. Okay, I still don't really know what grandstanding means, but anyway. If you don't want to throw grenades or thumbers or whatever, it's cool, dude. Whatever, whatever floats your boat. We're just out here throwing frisbees and living life, dude. Do whatever you want. That was a good shot by Isaac. I think he ends up a little deep in the basket. But yeah, this backhand kind of hyzer flip play, I think, is what you're looking to do here. And I think you do need to throw a driver on this hole. I'm just throwing an Undertaker, and I think this is about the right amount of disc for me. I catch like a little limb on the right, but still, it kind of redirects me towards the basket a little bit, I think. So that worked out nice. Sorry for the bad joke. I'm not really sorry, though. These trees, dude, you gotta watch out. These things, I don't know if... I think like lemon trees have like really big thorns on them, right? That are like an inch or whatever long, maybe. Anyway, these trees have some of them has some big thorns on them. And again, the rough on this course is abrasive, or it's very thorny, and it's gonna make you bleed a little bit. So some long, if it's cool enough, long pants and long sleeve shirt would be recommended, or I would recommend it. Okay, old hole something. 20 maybe? Par 3, par 3, par 4. This must be old hole 20. I can just look right there. Look at it. Old hole 21. Pin's kind of, you look down here and you can kind of see the tree. Pin's just to the left of it. So you can definitely just get a putter there that'll slide right up to it. And I think that's the play. So I try to go mid-range because my putters are in some variants of stability right now, because my non-premium plastic one that's been my straight one for a while is starting to turn on me. excuse me, my premium plastic one, I felt like it was a little too overstable for the shot, so I tried to disc up to a mid and throw it low, but I just don't throw it. I just don't throw it good. I think Clay's throwing a proxy. There you go. It's that easy. I think he needs that a little straighter. I think that ends up like a little high on the green, like edge of circle one. That one turns just a little. That's really good. That's really good. I want to have it finish just a bit more left than that one did, I think. The tree just caught that. That thing did not come out of that tree. This is a good one. This one ends up parked. That's that neutron envy. So just kind of flat down the left and let it work in, excuse me, down the right and let it work in left to the pin. Oh, a guy and his kid play through. I hope I turned the camera off. I don't mean to record strangers. But I'm gonna pause it because I don't know if they consent to being on this video or not. Anyway, but he's got his youngin with him. Kid, you know, he's a bit bigger than a toddler, but he's not very old. I don't know the age of kids very well, but he's not very old. He's like barely big enough to carry a backpack, you know. And I think he's got like a disc that's dyed like Simon's PD, which is it's fun. I have one that's like that. But anyway, you know, it's max weight, and he is really. It's funny because the kid he throws a forehand. He throws like a flex forehand, and it's really good. It's probably like a max weight disc, you know, and he gets it down the fairway, down the middle, really good. And it looked good when he threw it too. Like, you know, it's cool, and it's probably a max weight disc by the look of it. Anyway, and then he gets one down to the green, and then he throws in from like 30 or 40 feet or whatever, you know, and he's barely, like I said, he's like barely big enough to carry a backpack. The disc was his third as tall, you know, was a third of his size. So it's cool to see that stuff. But anyway, man, I'm gonna try to skip ahead without having them be in the video. Okay, what was this? This is my first one. It ended up here. So this is a better view of the green if you haven't seen it. If you have not seen it, you can kind of bring it into this right side and try to have it slide in, or try to push straight through here. But there is a little bit of a ditch between us and the basket, and that'll catch your disc or affect its ground play in various ways. Oh, wicked. Okay, this is the next hole. Whatever the number is. 22, right? Okay, so I think Clay throws a... No. Yeah, well, this is 22, but Clay throws a pretty good one. The basket's back up on the left. I think he might have a long putt with that. If I've watched coverage, the pros throw over the top, and I'm thinking I'm going to do it. The pin's, I think, further away than I was expecting, but that, and I throw like 200 feet less than those guys do. Isaac and I are both going to try this over the top play, and it's like hard because in order to give it enough height, you gotta it's just hard to get it to push far enough when we're throwing it this high. That's why I like Clay's play. If you really want to birdie the hole and you don't throw 500 feet, I think Clay's line is the way to go. Because I try to give it a good go here and turned over a bit. It's a bit too much angle, but it's a nuke. It ends up fighting out. And I'll show you. It ended up here. So it's just, I think that's like a safe play. Like, I'll probably par the hole every time doing that. I mean, I'd bogey it like every now and then, but for the most part, I'll just par that. I'll par the hole every time doing that. If you want to birdie though, I think Clay's play up the middle is what you got to go for. And this is actually, I think, the last hole I end up having recorded. I believe I've been recording a lot of stuff. What is this? What is this? I've been recording a lot of stuff. I got a net in my garage I throw into now, and I got a ton of recordings from that. And then, wow. And then also, I have like a bunch of stuff from like a music festival on my phone. And so my phone storage got maxed out. So unfortunately, on the tee box, the next hole is the last stuff I have recorded. But if you want to go check out what those holes look like, you can go look up previous year's Hub City Halloween Open with the coverage there from Ace Run Production. And those are what the holes look like for those guys. I will say, I plan to throw a mid-range on a few of those tee boxes just because, if you go through the back nine or the last 9 holes or whatever it is, because a lot of it is like this. It's open, somewhat narrow, with a lot of tall grass that's OB on either side. And it wasn't even windy today, and we threw some OB. So Isaac throws a big one that spikes right in the fairway. What I do, I just throw a reactor, kind of like a buzz, just right over the weeds up here and bring it in the middle, and just had like a berg in. And same thing on the next hole. I throw a reactor, which is like a buzz, just down the middle, and have a putter in. The next hole, I try to throw a reactor again, and it's too overstable, or a little too stable, goes left. So, but it was enough distance. The hole after that, par 5, I think you need to get a little, if you want, I think that hole's birdieable. I think you can play it relatively safe for birdie. It's going to go off the tee, and it's going to go into a big kind of opening that's going to go right, and it's going to snake back left at the end. And I think you can birdie the hole with 300-foot shots. You can go overstable forehand off the tee, and it's a safe, consistent play. Then you throw the exact same shot just down the fairway again, and then you've got a 300-foot shot into the green. That second shot, you want to try to land maybe on the right side of the fairway to open up your line to the pin. But otherwise, like this hole, I'm going like mid putter. Next hole, I'm going mid putter. The hole after that, I need to play it a little straighter than I did, but I still think I'm going mid. And then I don't know what it'll take from there, but maybe not. I might actually try to throw a driver over the top of that hole, just out into the open. It really depends. Anyway, and then 18 you're going to throw from a tee box that's up high down a hill over a lake to a pin. You can lay up. I think the key to getting it over the pond and onto the green is throwing it down a little bit, right? If you throw it level from the tee box, it's just going to stall out. I don't think it'll get there unless you turn it over and it starts drifting down in that fashion. But I think you got to throw it just a little nose down, just in order to get it, for it to have the speed and that kind of penetrating flight that'll carry it and let it glide all the way to the green. I think that bit of nose down off that drive 118 will be key to carry it across the lake or the pond. Anyway, cool beans, guys. Thanks for watching, I guess. I don't know. I kind of did this for me. Except the first 3 holes. That was for everybody because there's not footage out there of that yet, and I know some people might not get to see it before they play. So I hope that's helpful, and more than that, I hope that you guys have a great day whenever it is you're watching this, and a great life, man.